What if the maid you barely noticed was the only reason you're still alive today? Ethan Monroe had everything: power, money, and a beautiful wife. But one morning, as he reached for his car keys, a maid dropped to her knees and whispered, "If you leave this house, you won't come back alive." He stayed. And that decision, it exposed a billion-dollar betrayal, uncovered a plot to murder him, and revealed that the people closest to him were the ones trying to bury him. But the one person he never looked at twice, she saved him. This is more than a story. It's a test of trust, love, and loyalty. So if you think you know who your real friends are, watch till the end. Because what happens in room 406 will break your heart and then set it on fire. What if the maid you barely noticed was the only reason you're still alive today? Ethan Monroe had everything: power, money, and a beautiful wife. But one morning, as he reached for his car keys, a maid dropped to her knees and whispered, "If you leave this house, you won't come back alive." He stayed, and that decision, it exposed a billion-dollar betrayal, uncovered a plot to murder him, and revealed that the people closest to him were the ones trying to bury him. But the one person he never looked at twice, she saved him. This is more than a story. It's a test of trust, love, and loyalty. So if you think you know who your real friends are, watch till the end. Because what happens in room 406 will break your heart and then set it on fire. Ethan Monroe sat frozen on the living room couch. The silence pressed against his chest like a weight. The air conditioning hummed in the background, but the only thing he could hear was Grace's voice echoing in his head. "If you leave this house today, you won't come back alive." He should have been at the investor meeting by now, smiling, shaking hands, making headlines. Instead, he sat staring at the floor, gripping the edge of his thoughts like a man holding on to something invisible. Something just out of reach. What had just happened? Why did her fear feel more real than any warning he'd ever gotten from his advisors, his lawyers, his so-called friends? His heart was still pounding when his phone lit up again. Derek Shaw. Ethan sighed, picked up the call. "Guy," Derek's voice snapped. "What's going on? You didn't show. The investors are pissed." "I had to cancel," Ethan replied quietly. "Cancel?" Derek's tone rose. "Do you know what's on the table today? This deal was gold, Ethan. I know," he said flatly. A moment of silence. "What's going on, man?" Derek asked again. "Talk to me." Ethan opened his mouth, unsure how to explain it. How do you tell your best friend that a housemaid's dream kept you from stepping outside? But before he could say another word, the screen flashed. Another call. Fumni, office secretary. He clicked over. "Hello," he said. Her voice trembled. "Sir, your driver, Sean. He's been in an accident." Ethan sat upright. "What?" "Third Mainland Bridge. A truck lost control. Hit your Lexus. It somersaulted. He's in the hospital, unconscious." For a full 5 seconds, Ethan didn't move. He just stared. The same car, the same road, the exact time he was supposed to be in it. He lowered the phone slowly. His hands were cold. Grace's voice returned again, this time louder, undeniable. "I saw blood. People screaming your name. He should have died. He should have been in that car." What stopped him? Her voice. Just her voice. And that feeling in his chest. He sat there motionless, while his heart beat like a drum. The world around him was still. But inside, everything was shifting. Moments later, Vanessa walked in. Phone in hand, scrolling, unmoved. "So, you're just sitting here all day?" she said, not even looking up. "There was an accident," Ethan said, eyes still on the floor. She raised an eyebrow. "Okay." Sean took the car. A truck hit him. The car's gone. Her hand paused mid-scroll. Then, calmly, "And you think That means what? Ethan turned to her. I think if I had gone out, I wouldn't be here, she scoffed. Oh, so now this is a spiritual thing. Accidents happen every day. You're not even shaken, he said. Why should I be? You're here, aren't you? He stared at her face. No fear, no concern, no relief, just cold indifference. And in that moment, something cracked inside him. I'm keeping her, he said. Vanessa blinked. Keeping who? The maid. She needs to go, she snapped. She caused unnecessary drama. She saved my life. She crossed the line. She has no right to tell you where to go or what to do. This is my house too. His tone was low, but final. Vanessa didn't argue. She just turned, walked away, leaving behind a trail of perfume and tension thick enough to taste. Ethan sat there for a long time, staring at nothing. He didn't eat that day. Didn't speak much. He couldn't. Everything he thought was true about his home, his wife, his best friend, suddenly felt unsteady. That night, as the mansion slipped into silence, he couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't just off. Something was very wrong. In the days that followed, he watched everything more closely. The way Vanessa changed the subject whenever the accident was brought up. The way she avoided Grace like guilt was hiding in her shadow. The way Derek dodged his calls. And then, it happened again. One evening, Grace entered the dining room quietly while Vanessa stepped out to answer a call. She began clearing plates, moving like always, calm, efficient. But then, in a whisper barely above the hum of the chandelier, she said, "Sir." Ethan looked up. Grace bent slightly, pretending to pick up a napkin. "Please don't sign any documents this week." He frowned. "Why?" "I had another dream. It was even clearer this time. You signed papers, and then everything collapsed. You lost the company. Your accounts were frozen. There were police, sir. You were handcuffed." Ethan stiffened. Before he could respond, Vanessa returned. Grace quietly picked up the tray and walked away. But her words stayed, and this time, they didn't just stay, they dug in. 2 days later, Derek showed up at the house. As always, he arrived loud, smiling, full of fake cheer. "My guy," he shouted, wrapping Ethan in a hug. "Thank God you didn't get in that car. That thing was brutal." Ethan forced a smile. "And let me guess," Derek laughed. "That maid of yours is still around?" Ethan nodded. Derek chuckled. "Man, when did you start listening to dreams?" "I don't ignore warnings anymore," Ethan said quietly. "Fair enough." Derek shrugged. "Anyway, the Dubai deal's still alive. Just need your signature." Ethan nodded. "Send the documents." That night, when the envelope arrived, Ethan sat at his desk, opened the file, and froze. Something felt wrong. The numbers were off. The foreign account listed wasn't one he recognized. The proposed value didn't match their earlier discussions. And then Grace's voice returned, quiet, unwavering. "If you sign anything this week, you might end up in jail for something you didn't do." Ethan didn't sign. He closed the folder, locked it in his drawer, and made a call to a trusted friend in finance. What they uncovered next would shake him to the core. The investigation moved quickly. Within 48 hours, Ethan received a discreet report from his contact in finance. The findings were worse than he had imagined. Derek Shaw, his business partner of over a decade, his so-called best friend, had been siphoning company funds into offshore accounts for more than 2 years. Millions, hidden under fake project names, routed through ghost subsidiaries, layered so carefully, so precisely, it was clear. This wasn't a mistake. It was a plan, a betrayal, years in the making. Ethan read the report in silence, his eyes scanning every transfer, every false invoice. His hands didn't shake. His jaw didn't clench. But inside, the silence was burning. And home. It was no longer a refuge. Vanessa had grown increasingly hostile toward Grace. Every morning was an argument waiting to happen. "She's too comfortable," Vanessa hissed one day, slamming a drawer. "Too quiet. I don't trust her." "She's efficient," Ethan replied. "She's disrespectful. She's disciplined." "She's going," Vanessa snapped. "She's staying." Vanessa stared at him, stunned. "You're choosing a maid over your wife." Ethan looked up, voice steady. "I'm choosing my peace." That night, Vanessa locked herself in the guest room. Hours passed. Then, with shaking fingers and a clenched heart, she picked up her phone and dialed Derek. He answered on the third ring, groggy, irritated. "What is it?" "I can't do this anymore," she whispered. "I'm suffocating." What happened now? He sighed. He's still protecting that girl. He refused to fire her. She keeps interfering. She's just a maid. No. Vanessa interrupted herself, her voice cracking. "She's not. She's a curse. That girl is watching us. She ruins everything." Derek went silent. "You told me to marry him," Vanessa said. "You promised we'd find a way in, take part of the company, access the funds. We've been planning this for how many years?" "We're still on track," Derek said flatly. "We're not," she snapped. "We've tried everything. You even sent those guys that night to intercept him. Remember?" "I remember." "They were armed, Derek. They waited for hours. And what happened? He changed his route again. Because of her. She called him, told him to take another way. It's like she always knows." Derek didn't respond. "I'm tired," Vanessa said, her voice low. "I hate living here. I hate pretending to be his wife. I hate sharing a bed with a man I don't love." "You love me," Derek said. "I do," she whispered. "That's why I did all this. But it's falling apart. If something doesn't change, I'm walking away." Saturday evening came quiet and slow. Ethan was on the balcony reviewing audit reports when Vanessa walked through the living room, in a fitted travel dress. Her scarf was loose, her nails freshly painted. She casually checked her phone and said, "I'm leaving tomorrow morning." Ethan didn't look up. "Where to?" "Abeokuta. My father's not feeling well. I need to check on him." He nodded. "All right. I should be back Monday." "Okay." She paused, waiting for more. A hug, a safe trip, anything. But Ethan said nothing. She smiled weakly and walked away. Behind his calm exterior, Ethan had already made a call. "Follow her. Don't interfere. Just send me updates." The next morning, Vanessa left the house at 7:15 a.m. She smiled, kissed Ethan on the cheek, waved goodbye like a scene from a movie. By 9:03 a.m., the first update came in. She hadn't gone to Abeokuta. She had driven straight to Victoria Island, checked into a boutique hotel on Adetokunbo Ademola, Street Room 406, registered under the name Mrs. Tolu Ogunlady. Ethan read the text without flinching. At 9:47 a.m., the second update followed. Derek arrived, cap low, sunglasses on, simple black polo shirt. He didn't check in. He went straight upstairs. Same room. Ethan stared at the photo. No shock, no anger, just confirmation. The truth had been whispering for weeks. Now it was screaming. At 6:20 p.m., Ethan arrived at the hotel, dressed in a black suit. No driver, no entourage. He walked in calmly. The receptionist smiled. He didn't smile back. "Room 406, he said. She hesitated. Ethan opened his wallet, dropped 2 neat bundles of cash. "I won't be long." She handed him the spare key. He didn't rush, didn't knock. He opened the door. There they were. Vanessa, in a white robe, holding a glass of wine. Derek, shirtless, lounging on the couch, scrolling his phone. They both looked up. Everything froze. The wine glass slipped slightly in Vanessa's hand. Derek stood too quickly. Ethan stepped inside. Closed, the door behind him. Silence. Vanessa opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Derek forced a smile. Guy! Ethan raised one hand. Don't. Derek stopped. Vanessa's lip trembled. Ethan, I can explain. Don't lie, he said, softly. Not here. You followed me, she whispered. I stopped trusting you 2 months ago. Now I know why. Derek stepped forward. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think, Ethan said. And worse. He turned to Vanessa. You married me for this? Her eyes welled up. You never saw me. You were married to your company. And you were married to my account. You and your business partner. She flinched. Ethan took one last look at both of them. I hope it was worth it. Then he turned, opened the door, and left. No shouting, no drama, just the silence of a man who had finally seen everything he needed to see. That night, Ethan sat alone in his study. He didn't cry, he didn't scream. He made 2 calls, one to his lawyer, the other to the company accountant, file for divorce, and begin the buyout of Derek's shares. Immediately, Ethan didn't eat for 2 days. The mansion, once a symbol of his success, now echoed like a tomb. Furniture too polished, walls too clean, silence too loud. Every photo on the wall whispered lies. The woman he loved was gone. The friend he trusted was a thief. And Grace, still there, quietly folding bedsheets, serving meals he couldn't taste, sweeping the same corners that had once made him feel safe. When the divorce papers came back signed, Ethan didn't flinch. Vanessa didn't even bother to show up. She sent her lawyer. Tell him I agree to everything, she had said. Just give me my peace, her peace, after trying to kill him, after sleeping beside him while plotting his downfall, after kissing another man over plans to end his life. Peace. Ethan signed the papers with steady hands, but inside, the fire still burned. That night, he sat alone in the living room. The chandelier glowed overhead. The curtains swayed gently, but the house felt like a coffin. He had everything, and yet, nothing. Then, she walked in. Grace. She didn't knock. She didn't whisper. She didn't tiptoe. She entered the room like light stepping into darkness. Quiet, but impossible to ignore. I'm leaving tomorrow, she said, her voice soft but firm. Ethan looked up from the couch. His throat tightened. Why? He asked. I've completed what I was sent to do. He stared at her. Of all the people who had touched his life, she was the one who never lied, the one who saw the danger, the one who warned him, the one who risked everything for nothing in return. You don't have to go, Ethan said, and this time his voice cracked. You're the only one who hasn't hurt me. I know, she replied gently, but I wasn't sent to stay. I was sent to save. Ethan stood, slowly, walked toward her, heart heavy. He opened his mouth to speak, but the words got stuck, so she spoke instead. If you had signed that document, she said quietly, you would have lost your company, your name, your freedom. You would have gone to jail while the people who betrayed you laughed over breakfast. His jaw clenched. She continued. But you didn't. You stayed. You listened. That means you're ready. Ready for what? He asked. To start again, she said, her eyes steady. But this time, with your eyes open. They stood there in silence. Nothing between them but truth. Then Grace smiled, not the kind of smile that says goodbye, the kind that says, you'll be fine. Live right, she said, backing toward the door. Trust slowly, love carefully. Watch everyone. She turned, opened the door, and just like that, she was gone. Ethan stood in the doorway for a long time, the breeze brushing past like a whisper. He didn't chase her. He didn't cry. But deep inside, something was breaking and healing at the same time. He walked back into the living room, picked up the wedding photo of him and Vanessa, still framed in silver. He stared at it for 5 seconds, then smashed it against the floor. The glass shattered, just like the illusion, just like the lie. He knelt, picked up a jagged shard, stared into his reflection, cut, bruised, awake, and for the first time in a long, long time. He smiled, not because everything was fixed, but because the storm was over, and he had survived. A year passed. Ethan poured himself into rebuilding Crestrock. He cleaned out the rot, fired every executive who had once bowed to Derek, hired young minds, refused bribes, walked away from shady deals. He became the man he should have been long ago, and slowly the scars faded. He started walking in the mornings again. He started eating with joy. He even started smiling without forcing it. And when love came knocking again, it didn't come loud. It came gently, through a woman he met at a charity auction, someone who didn't care about his last name or his net worth. She cared about books, children, quiet things. He didn't rush it. He didn't announce it. But when he held her hand one night under the stars, he knew. This time, it was real. Across town, a small black car pulled up in front of a weathered duplex. Grace stepped out, plain dress, flat shoes, hair in a neat bun. She rang the doorbell. A tired woman opened the door. Her eyes were swollen from days of crying. "Are you the lawyer?" the woman asked. "No," Grace replied softly. "I'm the housemaid. Inside that home, a marriage was breaking, a man was cheating, a woman was dying inside." But Grace had arrived, and wherever she entered, lies lost and truth rose. He gave her a salary. She gave him back his life, while the woman he loved was plotting his death, and the friend he trusted was stealing everything behind his back. It was Grace, the one without makeup, diamonds, or a last name anyone knew, who saw the trap, warned him, and saved him, but she didn't stay for the praise. She walked away, like light after a storm. "I wasn't sent to stay," she said. "I was sent to save." So if you ever wonder who truly cares, don't look at who smiles the loudest. Look at who stays when everything falls apart. And if this story touched you, made you feel something deep, whether it's anger, hope, or just a sense of justice, don't scroll away. Share it, like it, and subscribe. Because in our next story, the janitor isn't just mopping floors. She's about to bring down a $1 billion fraud with nothing but her voice. See you soon.